Before the war, Oradore Sur Glane was a quiet, rural community in central France. In 1944, the village was left in ruins after German Waffen SS troops massacred 642 men, women and children before burning the village to the ground. Today, tourists can visit the old village of Oradore, where crumbling walls, cars and other household items have been left untouched for the last 79 years. The ruins of the village serve as a reminder of Nazi atrocities suffered by not only the French but also other civilian populations who came face to face with the Nazi oppression. The group responsible for the heinous crimes committed at Oradore was the Fuhrer Regiment, a branch of the 2nd SS Panzer Division des Reich. Des Reich arrived in France as a reserve unit in January 1944 after spending 2 years on the Eastern Front, where they engaged in combat and were responsible for putting down Soviet partisan resistance. Des Reich was under the command of SS Obergruppenführer, which is a Major General, Heinz Bernhard Lammerding. During his time on the Eastern Front, Lammerding ordered several retaliations against Soviet citizens for real or perceived partisan actions. These retaliations involved the murder of tens of thousands of Soviet prisoners, civilians, along with torching of numerous villages. Following the June 6 Allied invasion in Normandy, Des Reich was assigned a new mission to support German forces fighting in northern France. The division also received orders to put down any marquee French resistant fighters, while simultaneously intimidating the population and reasserting German control over central and southern France. Once orders were received, the division began to move north towards Normandy. On the morning of June the 10th, 1944, only 4 days after D-Day, the citizens of Oradore woke to what they assumed would be another normal day. During the war, Oradore had not seen much action and townspeople saw few Germans passing through the town. Around 2 p.m, under the command of SS Sturmbannführer Major Adolf Diekmann, somewhere between 120 and 200 soldiers of the Panzer Regiment De Fuhrer encircled the town, blocking all entrances and exits. The town crier was sent to relay the message that all citizens, including sick and elderly, were to report to the village market centre. Armoured cars gathered citizens who were out working in the fields, and within an hour the Germans had rounded up every villager that could find in the market centre. Most citizens were at first unconcerned, believing the Germans had arrived for a routine identification check. It was not long before the citizens realised that nothing about the exercise was routine. First, SS troops separated the men from the women and children. An officer announced to the men that he knew of hidden weapons and ammunition supplies, and that whoever was hiding them must step forward immediately. This charge was unsubstantiated, as no one in Oradore was known to have taken part in resistance activity. When nothing came of the demands for arms, that 197 men were divided into groups and forced into 6 separate barn locations throughout the village. When a signal was given, the SS men opened fire with machine guns, murdering the men lined up before them. There were 240 women and 205 children that were forced into the village church. Once locked inside, the troops first threw in grenades, injuring while suffocating others with smoke. Panic ensued within, and the SS then set fire to the building while shooting anyone who attempted to escape. After setting fire to the church, the Germans searched and killed anyone left behind in the village, and continued on by burning the rest of Oradore to the ground. Only 7 people survived the massacre: 5 men who were protected by fallen bodies, a woman who had escaped through a window of the church, and a child who managed to escape before their Führer regiment began rounding up the townspeople. It is through the survivors' testimonies that historians were able to piece together the events that occurred in the village. The reason for the German attack on Oradore remains unknown. After the incident, the German High Command released an explanation stating insurgents had attacked the division, resulting in fighting which killed the civilians. A common explanation was that Lamerding received word that the villagers were assisting the resistance by aiding with the kidnapping of SS Sturmbannführer, which is a major, Helmut Kempel, a decorated Nazi officer who was assassinated by the French resistance. This is contrary to the survivors' testaments that stated Oradore was in no way involved with the resistance. Some historians believed that Oradore massacre was in response to Kempel's assassination, while others believed that Oradore was just an unfortunate stop the division made on the way to Normandy. A majority of the SS men involved never stood trial, as many died in the battle following D-Day. Among these deaths was SS Sturmbannführer Adolf Deichmann, the man who headed the massacre and had made the claim that Oradore was responsible for the death of Kempel. Additionally, German authorities refused to extradite SS Obergruppenführer, the Major General Lamerding, to France, though he had been sentenced to death by the Bordeaux court in 1953. Lamerding had been tried for war crimes in Germany and had already served a prison sentence. Under the Bonn Constitution, he was not subject to extradition. Lamerding died in West Germany in 1971. What makes Oradore so unique in Europe are the ruins of the village that stand today just as they were left in 1944. Oradore now serves as a symbol of national remembrance to the atrocities the French faced under Nazi oppression. Dr. Perry Mansfred, president of the Remembrance Committee of Oradore and author of Oradore Sur Glane, A Vision of Horror, was the first to propose rebuilding the town of Oradore nearby and preserving the village ruins as a monument. Mansfred's idea was to recreate and freeze such a violent moment in time while using the physical remains of the village as a permanent commemoration for the massacre. In 1946, French President Charles de Gaulle announced that the site would be preserved and the ruins to become a national memorial. A small remembrance centre and exhibition were built to display items left behind in the ruins, most of which were damaged by bullet holes and fire. Today the ruins are maintained by the Ministry of Culture. They span about 40 acres and receive around 300,000 visitors a year.